Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, I forgot what episode it is.
No, we're episode 11. We're episode 11 because we double-digited last time.
That's right.
And so
That's
now
right.
we're
Congratulations.
11.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. You too.
We're here.
Welcome back.
We're here. Yes, we're glad you're here.
So, in talking about the method for today, we just want to throw out a little teaser at the beginning because we want to keep you engaged throughout the entire podcast.
Yes.
And so several of you asked about how we're doing on our goals. So last time we talked about our goals. And so we've been holding each other accountable and we're going to announce to you. So stay tuned till the end.
And we'll just,
we'll let you know how we're doing.
How we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm so excited for that part.
That's going to be great.
I'm so excited for that part. So.
If we talk too long and then we just don't get to it,
exactly.
that's okay.
We're going to keep it short today. Okay. So you're going to give us a little background.
Yeah. So this is our life session. Mm-hmm. So we did, this is our lesson session. Right. We did our life session last time, which is where we did our goals. So today is our lesson session. And we are talking about the Shunammite woman. And so we said in the last one, we gave you some teasers, Old Testament, wealthy, noble kind of stuff.
Not named, more verses than Lydia.
More verses than Lydia. And so we're going to talk about the Shunammite woman today. And I gotta be honest, I didn't know much about her. I mean, I don't know if I've ever really studied her heart.
Do you know where I learned about the Shunammite woman? Is from our legend that's coming.
Oh, yes.
TB, not D.
TBP.
Announced.
To be podcast. It's an interesting story. It brought up a lot of stuff. So we're just going to jump right in because there is so much about the Shunammite woman that we could literally do multiple podcasts on each item about her. But when I started, I was like, it's in Kings. It's basically two chapters, part of two different chapters in Kings.
Second Kings.
Second Kings. Yes. Second Kings. And I just couldn't figure out,
I want to make sure I was reading about the same woman.
So the Shunammite from First King.
Right. I wonder where
the Shunammite in Second Kings. Okay. She's in 2 Kings 4 and 2 Kings 8. And what just dripped on my head? Sorry, we have condensation and we keep trying to move, but it keeps dripping on my head. So I wanted to figure out what was happening in the Old Testament with the Shunammite woman. And so just a little bit of background. Some of you probably already know this about what's happening in Kings, and some of you may not. But ultimately, we went through a period in the Old Testament where there were not kings because Jesus was literally the king of the Israelites. And then the Israelites just kind of I don't want to say betrayed that, but kind of went away from it. They really wanted, all the other countries around them had kings and pharaohs.
They sort of got jealous.
And wanted one too, right? They were like, we want one too. And so they kept begging, God to give them a king, which at the time they really just had the prophets like Samuel and them. And so Samuel was the one that just kind of was like, enough is enough. Fine, you want a king, you're going to get a king, right? Yeah. So we had King Solomon.
And he declared all the things that were going to happen that was bad that did.
Yes. Which his kids were bad too, which, So we're in that place where the Israelites have kings. And then they had King David, and then they had King Solomon. And it was in Solomon's reign, right after Solomon's reign, where the kingdom actually divides because there was civil war kind of a thing. So we get the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom.
His brothers, right?
I think so.
I think it's his brothers that got all
bent out of shape. Yeah. And they just, like everything, didn't get along. And we want it this way.
We'll take the north, we take the south. Yeah.
So they divide. And so the northern kingdom stayed Israel. The southern kingdom was then called Judah. So for this long period of time, we see the northern kingdom lasted for about 200 years and the southern kingdom lasted for about 350 years, which I thought was so interesting because America's been around for 250 years. We're celebrating 250 years next year.
That's right.
So as long as America has been around, we feel like, in some regards, we've been around forever. And think of how far we've come since 1776 when we signed the Declaration of Independence to where we are at today. And that was just about where the kingdoms were at, right in the middle. Like the Northern Kingdom was 200 and the Southern Kingdom was 350. So America would be right in the middle of where this
I hadn't thought about that.
lineage of the kingdoms would be, which I thought put it in perspective for me. Like, this is where they're at. They're right smack dab in the middle of
And like
that.
there was 400 years between the end of the Old Testament and the beginning of it. Like that's double that.
Right,
almost.
that's a lot of time. I mean, you think of what we've been able to accomplish.
I hadn't really thought of that I mean, I know the numbers from the Bible reading, but like having a perspective on it.
Think of how much we've done as a country in 250 years. So a lot is happening in
I like
there.
that.
You know, so that's where we're at when we come upon.
teacher.
Sure, well, you know, here I am. So that was
I like that.
somebody I'm sure said that, but so that's kind of where we're coming into this with the Shunammite. Maybe I did. I think I might have actually come up with that, but so a little bit about the kingdoms too, just so you know where the Shunammite woman really comes in, because I didn't know that, is there were in this period of time, there were 19 kings of the northern kingdom and 19 kings of the southern kingdom. Even though the southern kingdom lasted 150 years longer, they had the same amount of kings. So their kingdoms lasted longer.
Yeah. They didn't go through them as quickly.
Right, they didn't go through. And that's because...
Do you remember this from Pastor Soper?
A little bit, yeah.
I
took an Old Testament survey class that we had to go through
and know,
all of this. And that the professor that I had was amazing. He did it to a rap back in the day.
That's great.
So we rapped it and learned it. And I always remember Zerubbabel built the temple out of rubbable. And that was how I remember who rebuilt the temple. So it was one of those kind of things. But 19 kings on both. All the kings in the northern kingdom were bad. Everyone. And then the southern kingdom were mostly bad, but a few good.
Right.
And so that's kind of the time frame that we're at. And Shunem, the town, is in the northern kingdom, which was all bad kings. So being called the Shunammite woman was because she was from the city of Shunem, which is in the northern kingdom with all bad kings. So as we're talking about this woman, setting the stage that she's living in a bad kingdom for hundreds of years of bad kings and no projection to get out of that. She comes kind of smack dab in the middle of that.
Which explains sort of why she left. When we get to that.
When we get to that, with Italy, yes. And so the only good that's happening, I shouldn't say only, the only good we know about in scripture at this time is Elisha the prophet. So she comes on the scene with Elisha the prophet. And so there's Elijah and Elisha, which I always am like, could we have made the names easier to remember? I always think of it, J comes before S in the alphabet. So Elijah comes before Elisha. Elijah was on the scene and he trains up Elisha. And Elisha is the prophet that she is dealing with.
But he's only in the north, right?
He is only in the north, yes. Okay. They are only in the north. So they are kind of doing this. So now, yes, the kingdom
very
is split,
divided.
but Elijah, Elisha, Shunammite woman, this is all happening up in the north.
Yeah,
there are all kinds of stories happening in the south. Yeah. And the prophets really do commingle in this. Like you'll know that, you know, one of the prophets in the south would talk to a prophet in the north. Right. But Elisha was predominantly in the north.
In the north. Okay.
And she's in the north. So that is a little bit of history. Sorry.
I'd offer you a hat, but you know.
Teaser. So I just want to give a little bit of background.
Like
so you know where we're
at,
what's happening in the Old Testament when we stumble
we think we have
across. When we stumble across this Shunammite woman, she is in a country that's been basically in a
totally oppressed,
really bad place for hundreds and hundreds of years. No good people, bad leadership. And this is where we stumble upon her. So that's where we're at.
Okay.
So tell us about this Shunammite woman.
So, and then she meets Elisha.
She does meet Elisha.
Which I think is so interesting that she recognized him, right? She recognizes that he's a man of God and that she takes that and runs with it. And we were just talking about, before we started recording, that she tells her husband that's a man of God, and they're unified in the fact that the husband trusts her with that information, trusts her discernment, and they unified decide to add a room.
Add a room for
and
him.
She
I wonder
wants
how
to.
they met.
I'm sure it was a blind date.
Not the husband. I mean, how did the husband and the wife meet Elisha?
I thought you meant each other.
No, I'm thinking in the big town, they obviously had faith because they recognized him as a prophet. So they're in a country where things aren't going well. There's not a whole lot of religion. It's all bad kings. They're worshiping Baal. Things aren't good, but she has a faith and her husband has a faith and they recognize the prophet. I wonder how they met him.
I don't know.
I don't think prophets usually like preached. I'm just,
No, I don't either.
know.
I think that's the thing is you have to have enough discernment to say, oh, that person
is somebody,
is special. That person is, here comes the puppy. That person is special.
Yeah.
Right? That person is walking somehow. The joy of the Lord, right?
Yeah.
Somehow, some way it's identifiable, right?
it, yeah.
So, but I don't know. Because it wasn't really like a bustling place. It was a small town.
I think so. And it said he would pass through Shunammite.
Right.
So, I mean, I think he must have been going from...
Right. It wasn't like there was anything major happening there. So anyway, I loved that there was that.
Sees him somehow.
Yep.
Her and the husband recognize that he's a man of God. And they realize that he comes through often. We've got a lot of money. Apparently it says they're really wealthy.
Right. Or at least she is.
At least she is. Yeah, it just says she's wealthy.
She's
we don't know
wealthy.
if he is, but she was. I want that to be me.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sean. I'm wealthy. You're not.
She's wealthy.
Sorry.
We're wealthy. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she invites, I do think that's good too. I put the same thing, that she asked her hubby, let us make a room. So it was definitely that unity in it, which I love.
And I think, that he trusted her and he trusted that discernment and I'm sure she probably asked more than once. I'm just suggesting that, she probably had to lay the groundwork for that.
Honey.
So I have this idea. Yeah. Oh no. Okay. Well, let's rethink it.
Again.
I'm going to come at it from this way and then this way, but whatever.
We talked about too, being a wife, coming up on 30 years for us. You're 30 years. We learn how to present things.
And when
to present things, how often we need to present things.
What we can do by ourselves and what needs
I mean,
conversation.
isn't that amazing how you learn? Like even looking at my daughter who's starting to date somebody pretty serious, she hasn't figured that out yet. Like she'll definitely bring up things at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Or get mad.
Or say stuff that is like, you don't have to talk about that.
You don't need to ask about that.
That's not.
Yeah.
But stop.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
That is the beauty of 30 years of marriage.
It's
you
true.
really do know.
It's true. I trust you with this. So I think it's nice that they had the unity on that. And then I love that she goes on about being so content. She just talks about how she's content all the time. She's saying, all is well. And it's not. I mean, she lives in a very, potentially very oppressive time. For a woman, for sure. So I like that she's kind-hearted, full of love, and empty of bitterness. And when we're, we can get bitter quick over a few things that are our thing, right? And not say all is well. So, go ahead.
And things weren't all well for her. Right. We know that because she ultimately, it comes out that she's never had a kid.
Right.
And back in those days, that's everything. And so, but she's saying all is well before we even realize that that's an issue. Because he's like, how can I help you? What can I do? You've blessed me. And she's like, I'm good. I'm good. And she really wasn't good.
Right.
She was struggling.
But I don't think, it's almost like she didn't recognize that. I wrote down, it's Romans 5:5, God's love lets us do his work. It means making room for his people and his work. And don't settle for anything less than that. And, it's so much of what we have talked about with perseverance and, that we joked about over the last, all the themes really is taking it and, we're just going to do it. Let's see what happens. Let's just do it and see what happens. And that kind of perseverance and sort of drive to make it right allows God to do some things. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So, when have you been persistent? Like the Shunammite woman was a question I wrote down. Would you like to take a break from discussing what she's done and talk about that?
Say it again. When have
you been persistent like the Shunammite woman? Or should we save that for the end?
Yeah, give me a chance to think. Let's put it in our call to
I don't
action.
have an answer.
Come back to it.
Yeah. Okay, we'll come
action.
back. You got 12 minutes.
Think about it. Yeah, I got to think about it.
Yeah. We're still recording. We always
We
have
are.
to
Okay.
check.
So what else? Tell me about the Shunammite woman. What else have you learned?
We have.
Give an overview of her story in case they don't know it.
Okay.
So she meets him.
So we meet him. We build a house. She builds a house for him, and he stops there, back and forth, accordingly. And once in a while, and he says to her, "What can I do for you?" He doesn't say it to her. His servant says it to her. which is sort of interesting because there is a defined roles kind of thing, right?
If you go further with the servant beyond the Shunammite story, he's very interesting. He screws up
Yeah.
big time.
And he ends up dealing with the king and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, even beyond that, past the whole thing,
What does he do? I don't know.
Gehazi ends up lying to Elisha. Naaman comes, it's a whole nother story, and Naaman helps Elisha, and then and Naaman says, "Let me give you something," and Elisha says, "Absolutely not. I don't want to take anything." And Naaman leaves. Well, Gehazi runs after him, the servant, Elisha's servant, and says, "Elisha found out there is something he really needs. We'll take the monies." And he takes
Gehazi.
it, and then he comes back and hides it. And Elisha says,
Right.
you know, he's the prophet. He obviously knew, and he calls
Right.
Gehazi out, and Gehazi's like, "I'm so sorry." He strikes Gehazi and his family with leprosy for the rest of their life and their children's children,
You know, I never put that they were
which
the same
it's
people.
him. But even more interesting than that, that's where I kept going down the rabbit hole. I just kept reading in Kings because I was like, "Oh, this is exciting." So then Gehazi screws up. Got it. Fine.
Right.
Struck down with leprosy. Family struck down with leprosy. You assume Gehazi's out now
Yes.
because
Right.
he messed
Right.
up,
Right.
leprosy, he's out. There's nothing about him for chapters. Then all of a sudden you come back and he is talking to more people on behalf of Elisha. So there had to be
There's a repair.
like a reconciliation
Forgiveness,
or
yeah.
like a, hey, you're going to have leprosy and that sucks. That's a consequence of your sin, but you're
Right.
still working with me. And
interesting.
so he's back in the picture then again, which I never made all the connections. So that was kind of
I never did
I know,
either.
I know.
I know some of those side stories,
Yeah.
but I never really put
kind
it
of
together
the
that
line.
same guy.
See there? So
Look at
anyway,
that.
so yeah.
Okay, so
servant guy
anyway.
Gehazi.
So Gehazi says to the Shunammite woman, you know, what can we do for you? What can God provide for you? And she says, all is well.
All is well.
All is well. And Gehazi says to Elisha, but she doesn't have a child.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's so insightful that she doesn't even think to mention that. And we don't know if she's burdened by that
Right.
or if she's really
Okay with it.
okay with it. And so I love that God sees.
But they perceived it.
yeah, I love that God, and that is true of us.
Mhm.
Like that there's a perception that there's something that you need that I could identify that you probably couldn't, right? When you have that kind
and
of
he loves
relationship.
us enough to recognize
He does,
even when
exactly.
we don't.
Even when we don't. So
That's
anyway,
good. That's good.
we go through that. She, a year later, he comes back, has a baby. And so then we go on, we skip, I don't know, like a
Enough
chapter and
years
a half.
that he's out working
He's
in
in
the
the
field. So
field.
the kid's old enough that
Right.
We're
That he goes
working in
to
the
see his
field.
dad and he says his head hurts and the dad says, you know, take him back to his mom. Off they go. And he essentially dies, although she never says that. She never uses that word. She puts him in bed. And
puts him in Elisha's bed. up in the
Elisha's
room.
bed upstairs on the third floor. Yes. And third floor. I don't know why I think that.
It's like, was that in there?
I don't think it was, but I
You're
feel like she
assuming it was
I
the
was
third
like,
floor. I mean, it was it was
it's top floor,
upstairs.
like it was on the roof
It's
or
set up.
something.
I don't know.
know why.
On
I
the
think it's the
floors.
third floor.
Funny.
so
Okay.
I perceive that.
go.
I have no idea where that
I never
came
thought
from.
about it. Go ahead.
I don't know. And so anyway, off she runs to Elisha on a donkey. She tells the servants get the donkey ready. She tells her husband everything as well. And he
Could
says,
you imagine your kid dying?
Yeah.
And you don't tell your husband, and you get on a donkey
and
go.
take off. And she says, you know, the husband knows that she's doing it because he says, why
not
are
the
you going to
Sabbath."
see the man of God? It's not the Sabbath. And so again, that speaks to her faith and her, you know, ability to sort of depend on God. But it's also like, don't worry about it. I'm going and everything is okay. And so
And
she,
he didn't ask questions as a husband. Like to have a relationship strong enough that your wife just gets on a donkey and goes.
and you don't follow
You don't know
her.
where she's going or what she's doing or why she's going. And you're just kind of like, all right, go ahead. Show their relationship.
She's got it.
Yeah. You know how far she went?
How far did she go?
She went I had to Google.
Yeah.
20 miles on a
Google told
donkey.
you that?
Well, whatever I was researching. I was in Bible study tools. 20 miles on a donkey.
Oh, that's a long way.
That's a long way. So that's like
way.
like a day or two trip on a donkey. So this wasn't like I went down the neighborhood
Right.
and got her. So when she
Right.
got on the donkey and left, this was like, I'm gone.
That's why she says, you know, just I want to make sure. Are we still recording? Yeah, we're still recording. I'm getting text messages for some reason when it says "do not disturb." that's why she says, don't slow down.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, it's like, we got to get there.
We got to go. It was a trek. I mean,
Yeah.
20 miles on donkey.
Yeah.
It was far,
Right.
which I didn't realize it was that
That
far.
makes sense. That makes that line make sense. Like, don't stop the donkey.
Right. Don't stop
Don't
for me.
stop
Just
for me.
keep
Just
going.
keep going. So anyway, she goes to him. Gehazi comes out, says, you know, what can I do? What can I help you with? She's like, nope, got to get to Elisha. Finally, Elisha, she's dragging. I get the impression, like, my visual is she just is like hanging on him and says,
Which,
I'm
as a
not going.
mom, wouldn't you be?
Right.
I mean, you would be hanging
That's
on
I think that's my imagery is like, she's just like, you're not going anywhere
Until you
except
fix
I'm taking you back here. So eventually he gets back with
Well, what's funny is Gehazi.
Gehazi.
I've called her the wrong name. I've called her a Shunammite. I've called him Gehazi.
We just call him G and E.
Gehazi goes ahead
Yes.
and gets there first and tries to do whatever he tries to do because he is a son of the prophet, which that was in all of Kings, these sons of the prophet. So there's this like entourage of up and coming prophets,
Not technical sons.
not technical sons, but like students of the prophet. And so he is one. And so he goes ahead,
Like, I'm going to
gets there. I'm a good
I'm
student.
good.
I'm the favorite. And he didn't do it.
Right. You
He
can't
can't
do
do it.
anything.
He has to
Yeah.
wait for Elisha.
He has to wait for Elisha to show up, who then takes everybody out of the room,
including her.
including her, and basically breathes life back into her son. And so, where do we go from there? Then it's sort of,
Well, then there's the 4-chapter gap. So
Right.
that kind of
Then
ends chapter 4, 2
Right.
Kings chapter 4.
right? That's sort of where it
Kind of ends. They heal her and great.
Yep.
And then 4 chapters of other stuff happens.
Yep. And
Years.
then we get to Elisha coming back to her. So maybe he's been coming and going. We don't
Right.
know.
I feel like he travels through there. This
Yeah.
was kind
And
of a
so this
stopping
is sort
point.
of
That's my
consistent.
guess. Yeah.
And he says, you're going to have to leave.
Yeah.
Right? Things are getting
And
bad or
interesting,
worse.
it's very specific that he tells the Shunammite woman, you need to take your family. So again, the communication is between the Shunammite woman and Elisha. Clearly, that's the communication. Gehazi can't really do it. The dad's, the husband's out of the picture.
Right.
So this Shunammite woman and Elisha, the prophet, the one good guy in this horrible nation, has this relationship, which I think is beautiful. And so he tells
So it's
her.
sort of interesting, isn't it? Like, we say that the husband has a faith, but we don't know how
We don't
much.
know that, right?
We really don't know that he does, and that may be why Elisha goes to her. The drips are showing up.
It's so bad. I mean, it's
As long as it doesn't go on your
drenching.
microphone. Don't get it on your shoes.
the shoes.
Take a break.
I'm good at putting my foot up. Wait, can I get it all the way
you
up?
did put your foot up. Look at
Oh,
you.
look at my new
Tammie
shoes.
has new
that
shoes,
Kristin bought me.
pink.
They don't match my yellow shirt, but you can't really see.
But we don't care.
So
They match your cute jeans.
we've been laughing about the cute shoes. So
Yeah. Anyway, so where are we? Oh, so he says that you should.
you were
that
saying
should leave.
interesting point though. Maybe the husband doesn't have a faith.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
he just
think-
trusts the wife, and the wife is the one that has the faith. I don't know if we know.
Because if you think she's going off to see the man
Right.
of God on the Sabbath,
Yeah.
maybe he's used to not going with her, right? I mean, it's sort of like
That's interesting.
you
Maybe.
might go.
Yeah, I don't know if we know that.
I don't
Wonder
know
if the
either.
Shunammite husband will be in heaven.
That's right,
Mr. Shunammite.
Mr. Shunammite,
I don't know.
Dr. McClafferty, and husband Sean.
Husband Sean.
I want to do my doctorate just so I can
Just
do
so you
that.
can say
Yeah,
that.
I just want to be able to.
Somehow my name in my phone
It's changed.
it's completely
I
random.
know.
Somebody
Oh,
texted
really?
me the other day and said, "Are you a doctor?"
Yes.
And I was like,
Your update.
"How are
says
you
that.
asking me that?" And she was like, "Your update. It updated." And
It
I
did.
was like, "I wonder who updated it." I didn't
I-
update it. I mean, who updated that? I didn't do that.
I don't know. Technology
Funny.
is not our.
I mean,
gifting.
but who does that?
I got it. I was like,
Who knows that?
so now we're supposed to call her doctor. That's why I said it.
Who does that?
I was impressed. I was
Thank
like,
you.
oh, look at her
I
sort
did
of.
not do
She's
that.
owning this
I
finally.
did not do that.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Anyway,
Yeah.
so we don't know, doctor. We don't know what the
hubby was doing.
hubby was doing, but I think we're not 100% sure. She was leading the charge for certain, and maybe that is why Elisha only talked to her, or gave her these instructions. But he basically says, "Go ahead and leave.
Take your family.
Take your family." She does. She listens.
7 years because of famine.
7 years.
Famine's coming. Get the family
Family's
out.
coming, so she does it. 7 is the number of completion, so that's good.
There you go.
The famine gets completed, and they come back, and Elisha is still in the picture and says, and eventually Gehazi goes in front of the king, and what can we do? He's talking, blah, 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 blah. And up she shows to talk to the king, and the king is hearing the story from Gehazi about Elisha and how great Elisha is, and he's sort of getting the sales pitch. He says, and there's the woman.
I think that timing is...
Right? There she is. And the king gets to hear the story.
Nobody's connecting. And then Gehazi's telling the king, listen, Elisha's done this and this and this, and he's a great guy. A guy from the dead. And she walks in the room, and he's like, oh,
there she is.
Speak of the devil.
Right. That was her son.
Timing.
Right. Only God's timing. Right. And anyway, so the king then restores everything back.
Yeah.
So, and then we don't
hear from her
ever
again.
That's about it. That's about it. And we don't really hear about the son at all.
We don't hear about the son. We don't hear any more about the husband. We do keep talking. It keeps going down the line of Elisha.
Yes.
So we kind of stay on the trail then in King Elisha. But there's just this half of chapter 4 and half of chapter 8, this little blurb about the Shunammite.
I love it. I think it's because it's so easy to skip over. It's like you said, like here we are. I mean, and most people don't know. I mean, I know parts of the story, but I never really had studied it all until our legend took us on a retreat. So
you're going to write a resume for the Shunammite woman. What do you say about her?
Would you like to hear the lessons I wrote down about this? I thought this was great. I have to say this first. Rather than waste time speculating why, the cause of the situation, she takes her grief and her confusion directly to God. Get on the donkey and go.
Go to God.
I'm not going to process it with anybody. I'm not going to talk to my 3 friends. I'm not going to get confirmation. She just says, I'm confused. I don't know what's happening because you gave me this child and now you're taking it away. And there's no stopping between her and the feet of Elisha, which I think is, so anyway. So our lessons I sort of went into were discernment and hospitality. She understood that Elisha was a man of God and was able to communicate that to her husband at a level where they could have the unity, which is, like I said, I don't know that you can do that in one conversation.
Right.
I mean, right?
Hey, we're going to build a house for this guy.
I'm thinking there's a discussion, at least at my house, about what that might look like.
Well, and then there's the generosity piece of it. Clearly they were wealthy, but they still used their resources to build a place for Elisha. That's going to come once every so often. Right. So, I mean, there's some generosity in there.
Definitely.
Discernment.
Definitely.
Yep. Hospitality. Generosity.
Hospitality. Faith and persistence.
Faith.
Right. She went with an unfavoring faith, refusing to give up. Contentment and submission. Acknowledge that she has all she needs. I don't know that I stand in front of God and say I have all I need. I'm just saying.
I don't know if I stand in front of anybody and say I have all I need. I don't know if I think I have all I need.
Agreed.
Right?
We don't
I don't think that.
I mean, we need pink shoes.
I need pink shoes.
And for right the moment, we have everything we need, but it's not the same.
Now I have everything I need because I have pink shoes.
But it's true. I mean, if it all is well, we say it, all is well. But I mean, is all really well? Is it well with your soul?
I have been trying to say it since we've been talking about the Shunammite, and people walk up and are like, oh, how are you doing? Even today. Rather than just saying, oh, I'm good.
Or I'm busy.
Right. I have literally been saying, all is well.
Yeah.
We are so good right now. And the truth is, I don't feel that in my soul and spirit. I don't feel like all is good. I feel like things are not good. But I have really, since this all is well, when in my mind as a mom, there couldn't have been a worse situation. Your child died.
No,
I mean, as much as I feel like my soul is not good and I'm like, oh, the car's broke or whatever.
Right. You're not getting me to that point.
To literally lose a child and be able to say, all is well.
And act like it.
I want to get to that place.
It's different than saying it, too. She's acting like it.
Yeah.
Her son is upstairs.
Dead on a bed.
Dead, which she won't say. She never says it. She never speaks it. And being able to run off and say, all is well, there isn't a chance. I would be curled up in a ball.
Me too.
So.
Me too. But boy, don't you want to get there?
Yeah.
100%. Don't you want to be at a place in your life that no matter what the circumstance, you are genuinely It is well
It
with
is
my
well.
soul.
And it is your
And
soul.
it is well.
It is
Like,
not
good.
just saying it,
Nope, it
even
is.
though we're trying to make it that way.
No, I think there is a fake it till you make it.
Of course.
I
do
think
too.
you
I
say
do
it
too.
just because, even if my
Right.
soul doesn't feel it now, I think there is some wisdom and strength in speaking it,
convincing yourself
even when you don't feel it.
'Cause
Versus,
we know all is well. If you have a relationship with the Lord, all is well.
all is well. We
It is
win
well.
in the end. We
Right.
win.
And we forget that.
We do.
We forget that.
Ugh.
Yeah, we have that. We could talk about that for a long time. What does it say? Serving others in humility. And she has a selfless spirit of serving others. Humility allows her to see God's hand in her life. And again, that's something that I hope someday that I get there, that I can always see what God's doing. Because I know what God is just doing unbelievable things. And when I slow down and say, okay, Lord, today's yours, you can see it.
Yeah.
Man. She seeks God in prayer. She treats God as a friend, sharing her desires and questions with him. Which means that you have to talk and you have to listen.
And there is trust.
Uh-huh.
You trust God's got it.
And there's a relationship. Yeah. So this was the other one that I thought was so good that I wrote down. Sometimes I write these things and I think, who wrote that? But I did. God sees our buried dreams. God does see our buried dreams. He sees all of it. And then I wrote, a gift given, then take it away, roots out real faith,
That's good.
Which is what we're saying.
Yeah. The buried dream, though, goes back to just what we've been talking about. You have a seed, and you need to be fruitful with that seed. And I think sometimes there are some seeds that we've buried for whatever reason, where we lack the confidence,
busy, we don't know the money,
fear, we don't know the money. So we bury these seeds that are meant to be fruitful. And this is a story of there had to be a seed inside her, a literal seed.
Yeah,
exactly. Of a child, literal seed
that she didn't even
know.
Right.
And like you said, God saw it, then took it away.
Which
so then you have a seed.
It roots out the real faith, which means like she really believed God's got this.
Yeah.
And all is well. I don't have to worry that God can't fix this.
And how does that look? Think business-wise. We talk about business all the time. You have a seed to start a coffee shop. We started it. What if God took it away? Would we then immediately go to, oh, I did the wrong thing. It wasn't meant to be. When in reality, it was a seed. He gave it to us, and then he took it away for whatever reason.
He did take it away. Like we had a seed, we did it, and then 6 months later, COVID happened.
He
So
took
he
it
sort of
away.
took it away for a decent,
Right.
and we persevered through that.
through.
We should give ourselves a high five for that.
We had
I
a little
really thought about
Shunammite
that.
moment in the coffee shop.
I didn't know that.
I don't think
And
we
now we
said
have
all
more
is
than one.
well the whole time, though. I think we
I
said
said
other
a lot of things probably that shouldn't be repeated, but
It was not all as
most
well.
people
and
in
that
my
was
life have heard about the coffee shop
If only we'd have said all as
show.
well.
Right. But this goes to what we're talking about.
Okay.
You can expect the unexpected with God. It can look dead to us, but God can do anything. All is well. You have to say that, and it's inside her, and she will not let it go. She acts in boldness and won't let that donkey stop.
Life and death is in the power of the tongue. I mean, that verse says, let the weak say, I'm strong. And that word say, when you look at it, is like scream, like verbally
Shout it
out
from the
loud,
rooftops.
say it. Let the weak say, I'm strong. So you, in that verse, you are weak. I just literally, sorry.
We're gonna have to.
Sorry. Literally, that verse
tough.
says, you are weak. That is what you are. But you are saying, I'm strong. You're poor, but you are saying, I'm rich. She was broken, and she said, all is well. Like, out loud to people, she said it. Oh, life and death and the power of the tongue, that verse.
But you have to believe. She actually had to believe it really, really deeply because it took a long time to get from her to Elisha.
She had to say it over and over.
But she believed it deeply enough that all is well. That it took a minute for them to even, they had to think of it themselves, and recognize she doesn't have a child. We should give her a child, right? Like, brilliant idea, men, right? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she so believed it. So anyway.
Okay, call to action.
Call
as
to
we're
action,
winding
go
up.
for
So
it.
there are some really good calls to action.
I think they're calls to action, yeah.
So after talking about the Shunammite woman and all of this, we have 4 calls to action. 1, where is God calling me to build space for him? So she built a room basically for Jesus. Jesus' prophet, Elisha. So where is God calling me to build space for him?
Are you going to answer? We don't have to answer these.
I think that, I don't know. I'm not building space for him right now. I mean,
Look, this says how to make room for God, I wrote down.
see?
Expect him, invite him, talk to him, dine with him, enjoy him, which I'm not good at all, prioritize and honor him, and obey him. So there's a lot of things probably that I need to say.
Am I making space for him? I mean, she created an entire room. She gave her money, her time, her talents, her treasure to open up a space for God.
We did do that at the coffee shop.
We do.
And I think God, but there are so many excuses that I have for not doing it in other places in my life.
So where is God calling you to make space for him? Tell us about it. Leave us a comment. The next one, am I trusting him even when things seem dead?
Why does this stuff happen? Like
As
when
we're
we
going
actually
through
have
it.
to deal
I
with it.
know.
How does
I mean,
God do that?
Literally an hour before we were on this podcast, we were having a conversation about, I just think some things with the business right now are in a really tough spot. And yet we're being presented with something else. And I wrestle with that.
Right. We think it's
dead.
and God's not going to
And
let
God's
it go.
not done with it yet. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Good stuff. Okay. So am I trusting him even when things seem dead? Is our next call to action. Have I buried dreams that God might want to resurrect? That's your book. You said that several podcasts ago.
I did say a book. Did I say that I have dead
want to-
dreams?
yeah.
Oh, the book is the
The
dead
book
dream.
is the dream. And you need
And
to.
I buried it?
You've buried it.
Gives
and
me
you just-
tension in my neck.
Yes, you need to write the book. So
I do.
Tell us as you're listening. We really want to hear from you guys. We've gotten a little bit of feedback online, but we really would love more. Tell us, is there a dream that you have?
It would really inspire us,
It would.
actually, because
It
we
really
sit
would.
here and
I think we're just the only one.
Well, we think we're the only ones that have these issues, but at the same time, I think it keeps us dreaming little. I think we need community to help us dream big.
Dream big. What's your dream?
Yeah, so tell us.
God's going to resurrect.
Tell us.
Okay, and the last one. Can I say it is well even when I don't feel well? Which goes back to that life and death is in the power of the tongue. Can you say it even when you don't feel it? I think that's harder for women because we're more feely. Well, we're not as feely as most women, but in general, women are more feely than men. So I think that's a little bit harder.
And we have a tendency to want perfection. Do all women do that? Pretty much all of us
think
want
so.
that. Yeah.
I think
it's
so.
like, no, everything's not well because A, B, and C are well, but I
didn't do
I got
D well.
D.
Right.
Right. Right.
Yeah, we do. We're not good at that. So those are your calls to action. Hope you learned a little bit about the Shunammite woman today. Read it yourself. 2 Kings 4, 2 Kings 8. Leave notes in the comment about our calls to action.
I love that.
All
I
right.
love that we have some call to action
I do too. All right. How else? What's next?
We have a surprise, and we're going to talk about what happens next. So, our legend. We have a legend hat. We have merch.
Oh, I could have kept this and kept the rain off my head.
I know, we should have put that on you early. We should have done that, but this is our surprise. So
We have merch.
We have merch. You look really good in it. It matches your shoes.
Just my shoes.
I'm going to buy a pair of those. I'm going to buy myself
I'm gonna
some
walk
pink
around
ones.
in a hat with my pink shoes.
And your pink bracelet. You don't have it.
Oh, I don't have it on today because I was wearing yellow, but
oh, yeah, well.
that's okay. I got the pink shoes now, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
So we have hats.
So we have hats, and we have a special legend coming next week. And so we're super excited about that. We're gonna let it be a surprise, but she's going to talk about the Shunammite woman. She is the one who really helped me go in depth at a retreat that I was on with her. And so we'll talk more about that, but super excited
Yay.
about
So come back
about
next
week. And
All right, so how are your goals? Really quick,
really quick, we gotta
Have
go.
you done your goals? Yours was going to be food and writing
okay,
notes.
so I've been really good about the sugar thing, except yesterday was Rodney's birthday.
Oh yeah, we
should have done this yesterday. So I didn't eat the cake
Oh, good
at
for
the
you.
lunch thing,
Okay.
but I ate the cake at the dinner thing, which was a peanut butter Reese's thing.
Okay, but
but it was a special occasion.
Okay,
So
but overall-
today I haven't had any sugar, so I'm
Good.
right back on it. But that was okay. And I wrote a couple notes.
Good.
So
How did they go over?
I didn't give them to him yet. I forgot. I wrote them, but yeah,
Good.
So we
Okay.
made some progress.
So you're going to stay on for the next week? I'm going to keep you accountable to sugar and notes.
Yeah,
Is
no.
that what
This
you're
is
staying with for a
sort
while?
of an ongoing
We're
thing,
gonna go
maybe
this-
till like
okay.
4th of something.
Okay. All right. Good.
What about yours?
So I was piano
We've
and
been
water.
sending each other videos.
Yeah. So I was piano and water.
Yeah.
I've done really well on the water. I think I've done every day
Did you
with
drink
the
it
water.
today?
I did not today, which
I
is
think
funny.
I have seen you most of the day.
Yeah, well, and I think because I've been sitting here, and when I'm here, it's just coffee all day. So I came in this morning, and I've just been doing coffee.
we sell water here.
I know. I'll take one home and guzz it. So other than today, which I will get it in before bed, but I've not missed. So that's been good.
I'm so proud of you for that.
So that's
I'm
been good.
serious.
I've done, and again,
Do
I
you
mean,
feel different?
No, I pee more, and it's not quite as yellow, which is probably a good thing.
That's a good thing.
That's a good
Yeah,
thing.
okay.
So they tell me. I don't
Okay,
know.
whatever.
So water,
Yeah.
and then I did play the piano for 15 minutes,
Yes.
which was really good.
I didn't know you were that good.
No,
by
I'm
the
not really
way.
that good. It was really clunky, and I was
It was not clunky.
a little frustrated.
I was watching the video. We should post the video.
You don't want to post that
No,
video.
come on.
No, that's
we
bad
should
video.
post the
Wait
video.
till I get better.
No, it was like teary. I was like a little choked up. I'm like, oh my gosh, why is she buried that?
Yeah, I don't play.
It was so
well, thank you.
good.
Thank
I
you.
did. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like have almost tears in my eyes about
That's
this.
one of those things that
It was
of the people
so
that I
good.
walk through
You
life
should
with
listen
now,
to it. I'm
they
gonna
don't
post
know
it.
that. I don't know if anybody knows I play.
I didn't know
So
it.
I mean, that's kind of my little hidden secret. But I really hadn't played, and I was a little frustrated because I thought piano was going to be like riding a bike. That like you rode a
For
bike
sure.
for your life,
Yeah.
and when you sit back down,
I
you
think
just
golf is like that.
And I thought, I'm just going to
Yeah.
sit down and play. And I sat down and I was not playing
Right.
well. So I was a little disappointed.
I think that it was great, and
Thank
it was
you.
your first step, and I
It was.
thought it was really good, and I really appreciated the video because I
Thanks.
just was so touched by it,
you.
and I was like, look at her.
I bought a Christian, and because of this, I bought a Christian praise piano book. I'm going to start playing. Because the last time I played piano, it was like classical. So I mean, I played
yeah.
Beethoven, which
Right,
is great.
right, which
but
is
like,
fine.
I don't know if I've ever just played like modern
worshipy song.
whatever. Yeah. So I bought a Christian worship book.
Maybe
So
you'll be in
we'll
the
see.
band next. we could have a Misfits band.
I started out as a music major. I mean, it was part of me.
Yeah, I
went to
did know.
college with that.
For some reason, I knew
So
that.
I
but
did it. Like it used to be a big part of my life. But anyway.
I never thought about the
Yeah.
piano part.
Yeah. It used to be a big part. So
So
there
anyway,
we are.
all is well.
We are doing all is well.
See you next week. Well, we'll see you in a few minutes too.
And we're back.